And with that, you are looking live at Titan Field in Manor, Texas, where the final game of the regular season between the Lago Vista Vikings and your Manor New Tech Titans on senior night gets underway. And as it gets going, it should be known that it all comes down to this game and a couple of others, as it's a three-way tie in the division between Lago Vista, Manor New Tech, and Legacy Ranch. It is a close one, I should say. With a win in the last game for Lago Vista, that 15-0 victory against your Titans, they were able to take first place in the division, while Legacy Ranch was able to get a victory of their own, leading it to one last game to really decide if this will be a tiebreaker or if one of these teams will go home the victor. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's broadcast on the Vype Sports Media Network. I'm Dalton Brown. Merle Burchett is our broadcasting director, Les DeSalvo, our quality analyst, and Suda Venkat, our product manager, bringing you all the action in the best possible quality we can. My wife actually sitting right behind me for this game, so that's actually something I'm really excited for, to bring her along for one of these games, even though she doesn't necessarily enjoy the baseball factor. On the mound tonight for your Manor New Tech Titans is the freshman on senior night, Eddie Lacona. Last game that he was able to pitch against Legacy Ranch, he went the distance in regulation, throwing 5 strikeouts, giving up only 2 runs in the first inning of competition play. It was 1 run. It was a 1-run game. Before everything got started, we will hear from our public address announcer, Marlon Thomas, as he announces the first bat of the ball game.
First up to bat for the Lago Vista Vikings, number 10, Aiden Vasquez.
So here's Aiden Vasquez to the plate, the speedy shortstop who got a base hit in the last game, stole 2 bases, and also walked. 1 for 2 at the plate in that game. First pitch of tonight's ball game on senior night gets underway from Lacona. First pitch is popped up, first base side. This will be out of play, 0-1, and we are underway for tonight's game. Well, Vasquez, along with being a solid hitter, is also a great defensive middle infielder, as he's able to be shifty out there. And we saw that in a couple of plays in the last game where he was able to run to his right and make some plays. That's a ball 1-1. It's something that this Manor New Tech defense is going to have to take care of in watching out for. Here's the 1-1 to Vasquez. Curveball foul down the line, 1-2. Well, Lacona is one of those guys who's never going to really beat you with velocity, but he'll beat you with everything else that he's got. He's got some good accuracy, some corner painting skills that kind of remind you of Greg Maddox, and an off-speed pitch that he brings out as a secret weapon. The 1-2 pitch to Vasquez. Curveball popped up, should be playable for Thomas. Actually coming in on this one is Coulter. Diving catch by Kingston Coulter. What a play by the speedy center fielder to get the first out of the ball game. That one was a little curveball hit off the edge of the bat that Coulter was able to run over to his left and get, make a diving reach and make a play on it. We listen again to the public address announcer.
Fly ball center fielder Kingston Coulter brings up catcher number 1, Jude Locks.
And a play like that is always tough as a center fielder. It looked like it could have been the play for Zane Thomas to make, but slightly got out of reach of him, and Coulter able to use those wheels and get to that ball, which brings up Jude Laux to the plate. Laux in the last game was pitching. Pitched to 6 strikeouts, going the distance. Walked twice, got an RBI out of one of those, and even flew out for an RBI. Next pitch, called strike 2, 0-2. That time went over to the fastball, just painted the outside corner on that one, was able to get him looking. So an early pitcher's count, 0-2. The 0-2 to Laux. Outside, missing the corner for a ball, 1-2. He tried to paint that same exact location as he did on that last pitch, just kind of making a tough day for the second hitter in the lineup. But umpire not going away with that call. The 1-2 pitch. Curveball, line to Thomas. Thomas gets over and makes a catch over to his right for the putout. 2 away. And there's that shortstop and Zane Thomas with good reaction time on that one. And just like that last one, that hit off the end of the bat and then just kind of carried.
Next up to bat number 9, pitcher Jackson York.
That brings up Jackson York to the plate. York was the second baseman in that last game. Today he is pitching. Walked twice as well and got 2 RBIs and a base hit while grounding out to third base. First pitch curveball fouled out of play, 0-1. And again, Lacona facing the pressure of pitching on senior night as the freshman. Here's the 0-1. Outside for a ball, 1-1. But I think a statement that Lacona made during the season, which probably not what he actually said, but what he thinks is pressure is only something you put in your tires. The 1-1. Outside called the ball 2-1. He went right back to the fastball again, that time missing. It's 2-1. I'm sure that's something that he wishes he could use an ABS challenge on. The 2-1 pitch. Curveball off the end of the bat. Should be playable. Coulter coming over to his right, and he'll make the play for the third out of the inning. So 3 of 3 down to start off this game. No runs, no hits, no errors. And the Titans are able to get out of this one quickly. And we'll come to bat in the bottom of the first inning. This is Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. We'll be right back after this short break. Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network, and coming in to lead off this game is the starting pitcher from Tuesday, Kingston Coulter. They'll play to make 2 plays in the top half of the inning, and on the mound is Jackson York. York was with a high 80s fastball and some good breaking stuff. First pitch to the bottom half of the inning. Inside, little chin music on the first pitch for a ball, 1-0. Well, on the hitting side for Coulter, he went 0 for 2. Grounded out, flew out, and got a hit by a pitch. Popped up. Should be playable. Shortstop and left fielder coming in on this one and making the catch. The shortstop, Vasquez, running over to his right. Which brings up Nate Salingnack to the plate. The switch hitting catcher. That was a good little play there on that running catch by Vasquez, running into the outfield on that one, showing the agility. Being able to cover a lot of ground in the grass. First pitch fastball in there for a strike, 0-1. I think what's crazy about York is he's throwing these pitches and it doesn't look like he's bringing too much effort into throwing these fastballs. Here's the 0-1. Fastball inside, almost hit him, 1-1. Salgnac last game went 0 for 3. Struck out twice and flew out to the third baseman. Fastball outside corner, called strike 2, 1-2 the count. So I'm not quite sure about that one. Just kind of missed the plate on there. And it's a 1-2 count. Here's a 1-2 pitch delivered by York. Fastball, strike 3, swung on and missed, 2 away here in the inning. He just blew him with the fastball in that at-bat, threw nothing but that heater. All 4 of those pitches and was able to blow it right by the catcher Salignac, and there's 2 away. Bringing up the shortstop, Zane Thomas at the plate, 0 for 3 in the last game. Actually 0 for 2, I should say, excuse me. Struck out and grounded out to third. But in that game against Legacy Ranch, he was able to be the closing pitcher to get the save in the 8th inning, striking out all 3 batters. First pitch fastball outside for a ball, 1-0. He also made that play at shortstop back at the top of the first inning. Nice little reaction time play. Here's a 1-0. Popped up first base side. This will be out of play, 1-1. Well, Thomas is one of those guys that can beat you in 2 different aspects of the field. He's able to provide power from that bat while also being a speedy guy that can beat out ground balls to the shortstop and third baseman. Here's a 1-1. Fouled out the end of the bat, tried to check his swing, but fouled it back, 1-2. He's also just a guy that has a rocket of an arm, whether you're at shortstop or on the bump, and when he's pitching, he doesn't seem to be a guy that uses that off-speed stuff very often because he can just blow you by with that fastball. Here's the 1-2. York, a little chin music on that one, 2-2. Well, York not really showing the off-speed stuff early on. He's trying to make sure that that fastball gets established and does what Lago Vista did in the last game, throwing high-percentage fastballs and then surprising you with the off-speed stuff every now and then. The 2-2 pitch. Fastball, called strike 3 on the outside corner. So 3 up, 3 down again. This time it's York going 3 up, 3 down. So no runs, no hits, no errors on either side of the field, and that will conclude the first inning. So we will go to the top of the second inning. You're watching Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Scoreless game to start off. Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. We head to the top of the second inning after nothing going on either side on the offensive standpoint. Evan Reyer steps up to the plate. Last game, Reyer went 0 for 3. Popped out to left field twice and struck out in that bat. He takes strike 1, 1-1. Having some troubles getting the YouTube stream started up, so I'm getting my quality analyst on that. Here's a 1-1. Inside, almost hit him on that one. Had to dance out of the way. 2-1 the count. Usually you'll hear your teammates yell, "Wear it," on a pitch like that. Doesn't want to do that there in that area. Here's a 2-1. Outside, missing the corner for a ball. 3-1. Lacona's one of those guys who gets into counts like these, but is able to get the strike zone again. Here's the 3-1. Popped up. Third base side. Hadrago coming underneath this one and making the catch is Dominic Drago making the play on that one for the first out of the inning.
Fly ball, third baseman Dominic Drago brings up right fielder number 7, Jet Tyler.
Well, here's Jet Tyler to the plate, or as the people of Lago Vista call him, Fighter Jet Tyler. First pitch, there's that curveball for a ball, 1-0. And so far, all 4 of these putouts by Lacona have been pitches that have hit the end of the bat and just kind of stayed in the air. Here's a ground ball. Nice little play by Zane Thomas. Throw to first. He's high and getting back to the bag is the first baseman, Luis Villegas, making the play on that one for the second out of the inning. What a play there by Villegas. Getting to that ball, reaching up for it, and able to touch first on that one. And Zane Thomas with a good play on a hard ground ball, running over to his left and able to throw across the diamond for the out. This one's grounded foul, 0-1. Here's Colby Canales at the plate, tonight's third baseman. Canales in the last game was batting 8th and now moves up to batting 6th. He walked, stole the base, was hit by a pitch, and got a base hit for an RBI. Here's the 0-1. Strike 2, 0-2, foul tipped back. So going from 8th to 6th in this game, moving 2 spots in the batting order after the performance on Tuesday. Sparking some offense with that bat. Got to an 0-2 count. Lacona delivers. Curveball for a ball, 1-2, and a good job of staying disciplined in the box by Canales, recognizing that was a curveball and not falling for that bait. The 1-2. This one is called a ball, 2-2. The curveball by Lacona. Everyone on the diamond except for the home plate umpire thought that was a strike, and even the opposing batter looked like to be taking a step towards the dugout. So 2-2, and this at-bat continues, and here's the pitch. That time strike 3. That time swung on a miss and makes it feel even better. So 3 up, 3 down. Lacona gets the job rolling. We'll head to the bottom half of the second inning. No hits so far in this one as the Titans come back to bat. Titans baseball, the Vype Sports Media Network. We'll be right back after a short break.
First up the bat,
Titans baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Ahmad Riley leads off in this inning, takes swings and misses for strike 1-0-1. Came out of the last game in the first inning after a tough play, ended up causing him to have to come out. Fastball in there for a strike, 0-2. Today he's playing as DH as Villegas takes first base this time around, so a little bit of a change in the lineup. 3 fastballs and 3 strikes. Strikeout, 1 away. At that time, York just kind of battling with the fastball. He knows that Riley's a power hitter, so he goes fastball pitch on a fastball hitter. He wanted all those pitches. He just didn't quite come up with either of them. 1 away. Bringing up the second baseman, Gabriel Posada, to the plate. Posada went 0 for 2 in the last game with a strikeout and a ground out to third. Takes strike 1, 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 2, 0-2, and York just dealing with that fastball early on in this game. And kind of like what we saw, like we said, from Jude Laux in game 1, they're just bringing in the heat early on, as that one cuts the corner for strike 3, 2 away here in the inning. Bringing out the fastball early on and showing just a few breaking balls. Which brings up Luis Villegas to the plate. Villegas went 1 for 1 in that last game with a base hit and a walk. His most recent high contributions were in that game against Legacy Ranch, game 2, after starting game 1 and being taken out in the first inning. He was credited with a base hit, tying the game in the second inning with an RBI, and being the big reason why that game went into extra innings. So that first pitch is a ball, 1-0. So Villegas has been showing a solid amount of discipline at the plate, and has been good at drawing contact. That's a ball, 2-0. So after those 2 balls, we know that the first 6 strikes will not lead to an immaculate inning in this one. The count 2-0. 2-0 pitch by York. Inside, fastball, swung on a miss for a strike, 2-1 the count. That's a sign. Here's the 2-1 pitch by York. Another fastball, swung on a miss, this time in the high part of the plate, 2-2. Well, I mean, he's shown a fastball a lot in this inning, and I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to fool him off with a little bit of breaking stuff going from the plate to left-handed batter's box. The 2-2 pitch on the way. That time he goes back to the fastball again, this time low in the dirt for a ball, full count, 3-2. This is a good at-bat by Villegas, able to force him to throw more pitches in this one and not get out of it easy. Payoff pitch. Fastball, swung on a miss, strike 3, inning over. So 5 strikeouts so far in the first 6 batters of the game for Jackson York. So still no runs, no hits, no errors for either side of the field. We're headed to the top of the 3rd in this game. Score still ties. Watching Titans baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. We'll take a short commercial break. Back here in the action on Titans Baseball, the Vype Sports Media Network. Leading off this one, taking ball 1-0, is Cody Weston, I should say. Weston last game had a 2 RBI double, struck out before being taken out for the lower class. There's a ground ball up the middle, base hit for the leadoff man Weston, and he's able to get the first Viking hit of the day. First base run the entirety of the game. There's a runner on early.
Brings up the 8th batter, second baseman number 2, Rise.
And that time he just sat back and waited on that ground ball, just put it right back where it came from. Little ground ball right back up the middle, past the second baseman, Posada. Dived to his right, but could not come away with that, so a runner on, which brings up Reese Konkak to the plate. Pitches the ball, runner goes back, not in time. Konkak last game was a right fielder and wasn't hitting in that one, so he's a designated right fielder, and today he will get a chance at the plate, batting 8th. Placing third baseman Cooper Mills. Nice little lead at first. He draws down a bunt. Off speed. This one's going to be bunted down the third base line, and they're going to let this one roll out of play for a foul ball, 1-1. As a coach, I mean, you get a runner on first early on, and you get down to the bottom of your order. Sometimes you want to try and move some runners around, get creative, but you also know that your guys also have speed, and you know that you can get away with getting 2 runners on early. I'm sure that's what head coach is thinking here. So 1-1 count. Runner at first. Weston takes a good lead. He takes back. Pitches inside for a ball, 2-1. He went right back to the off-speed, the 12-6 curveball, and I'll make the joke again, midnight to dinner time. It's a ball, 2-1. This time Weston taking a much bigger lead, foul back behind the plate, 2-2, hitting the top of the roof, and not as loud of a bang as I've heard in some other ballparks. So 2-2 the count. Runner still on first. Lacona going in from the stretch, looking over to his left. Weston getting a decent lead this time. 2-2 pitch. Sidestep, curveball, swing and a miss, strike 3. Goes back to that 12-6 curveball and a dirty pitch there for his second strikeout of the game, and there's 1 away.
Picks up the bat. Out of the lineup, number 8, left fielder, Bronson Long.
That was a good pitch there by Lacona, establishing the curveball on that one and getting in the chase, which brings up Reese Konkak to the plate. Takes a pitch for a ball, 1-0. Correction, it's actually Bronson Long to the plate. Checking the runner back to first, not in time. So I have Bronson Long on the wrong side of the lineup. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Bunt down the third base line, nicely handled by the third baseman Hadrago, making a throw to first in time on the sacrifice bunt, but it moves the runner over to second, and there's 2 away here in the inning.
Back to the top of the lineup, number 10, shortstop, Hayden Vasquez.
So Konkak was the one credited with that strikeout his last at bat. I just had that one messed up on my book, so my apologies to the folks at home, which brings up Vasquez to the plate, flew out to center field on a nice diving catch by Kingston Coulter as the first bat of the game as he takes ball 1-0. It's one of the things that I'm not really good at, folks, is keeping track and trying to keep that in mind. It's been a constant theme. Here's the 1-0. Curveball outside for a ball, 2-0. Trying to go with the old Nick Long route today of not using Microsoft Word as often and actually use a pen and paper the old-fashioned way. The 2-0 pitch. Ball low in the dirt. This one gets away. Runner will move from second to third. And Weston is now 90 feet from scoring with 2 outs. I'll tell you what, Solonak is a solid catcher, and he's really good at avoiding the pass ball, and that was just one pitch where he just could not get to in time, and it's not often that you'll see that from a catcher like him. That time moves the runner 90 feet away. So O'Connell will stay in from the stretch to 3-0 count. Here's the 3-0 pitch. As he takes strike one, 3-1 the count. The old Bad News Bears quote I remember hearing was, don't swing at a 3-0 pitch, you never swing at a 3-0 pitch. And that time, Vasquez took that one to heart. Took a pitch down the middle for a strike, 3-1. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Popped up behind the screen, actually down the first base line. Someone's calling for this one. It's Villegas who's able to make that catch for the final out of the inning. So no runs, 1 hit, and 1 left on here in this inning. Able to get out of this inning scoreless, but the Vikings able to get their first hit of the ball game. That doesn't amount to much. So we'll head to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Titans come back to bat on the Vype Sports Media Network coverage of Titans baseball. Titans baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Turns to the bottom half of the inning, bringing in Evan Langham to the plate. He fouls the first pitch back, 0-1. Langham in the last game went 0 for 2, grounding into a 6-4-3 double play and striking out in that game. Takes an 0-1 count. Here's the 0-1 to the starting left fielder. That one's a ball, 1-1, and the violins start playing out as that chin music continues for York, and a fastball like that, you don't want to be in the path of that. And there it is again, 2-1, approaching the inside part of the plate and trying to make sure that Langham is not comfortable in that batter's box. Establishing that's his plate. Here's the 2-1. Popped up, out of play, foul, 2-2. And again, it's just insane to watch as York, when he throws that fastball, I mean, he looks like he's maybe using 80% effort out there to throw it. It does not look like he needs to do much to get that in the upper 80s. Here's the 2-2. Off speed, outside for a ball, 3-2. That time looked like he went to the cut fastball, forcing a full count, 3-2. So back-to-back batters get to back-to-back full counts. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Popped up, foul again, 3-2. Langham doing a good job of battling in this at-bat. I think this is one of the longer at-bats that we've seen forced in this game against York. Payoff pitch on the way. Fastball again, fouled away, and we'll try it again. We'll get to the 8th pitch of the at-bat next. And a good job battling here by Langham. Watching out for that fastball. And you got to remember that the off-speed stuff, what the heck is that noise? Does anybody...
It's a clapper, yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like a broken fan. Again, full count pitch. Fastball popped out of play again, and we'll force a 9th pitch of this at-bat. Langham making York work in this one. Every strike in this at bat has been a foul ball, not as up to this point. Here's the 9th pitch of the at bat. Fastball. That time he gets him swinging for strike 3, a 6th strikeout of the game, and Langham goes down swinging. And again, a great at bat and a great battle there by Evan Langham, as every single strike up until that strikeout was a foul ball, and he was able to put it all over the place, knowing he's a fastball pitcher, and eventually went down swinging. So here's right fielder Chris Snead to the plate. He swings and misses for strike 1, 0-1. Snead came out of the game in the 2nd inning of the last one before getting his chance to be the leadoff hitter in the 3rd inning. Takes strike 2, 0-2. So he throws 1 strike, gets him looking. Second one is swinging. Sets up outside. Here's the 0-2. Fastball, call a ball 1-2, and another one of those calls like in the last inning where everyone on the field thought it was a strike except for the home plate umpire. And you have to wonder if it's maybe where the catcher was set up on that one that kind of got him thrown off. Here's the 1-2. That time it's strike 3, and just like the last time, it ends up with a swing and miss strike 3, and there's 2 away here in the inning. And again, not much off-speed stuff, just pure cheese out there by Jackson York, and it brings up the opposing pitcher, Eddie Lacona, to the plate. Lacona has 2 strikeouts of his own as he faces the fastball pitcher, and he takes ball 1, 1-0. Lacona in the last game struck out but also got a base hit. So he swings and misses on the high fastball that time for a strike 1-1. He's able to excel at both the rubber and the batter's box, and we've seen him do both in the same game. Here's the 1-1. Pitch is low for a ball, 2-1. And I mean, as the pitcher, when you face a opposing pitcher like this, you know that getting anything going would be a confidence booster for your team, as it's a strike 2-2. One of the things that high school baseball and UIL baseball still has is the option to either have a DH or your pitcher hit, or both. And we're seeing an example of the old National League approach. Here's the 2-2. Fastball on the outside corner, called strike 3. 8 straight strikeouts in this game for Jackson York as we head to the top of the 4th inning. No runs, no hits, no men on base. So far, perfect pitching by Jackson York. We'll take a commercial break here on the Vype Sports Media Network and head to the top of the 4th inning. We'll be right back right after that. Top of the 4th inning gets underway here in Manor, Texas. It's still a scoreless ball game in this one. One combined hit from both of these teams. as it's been a pitcher's duel all throughout. So here's Drew Laux at the plate. Pops this one, first base side. This will get out of play 1-1. Last at bat, Laux got one off the edge of the bat on an off-speed pitch and just kind of poked it out the shortstop in a nice little play by Zane Thomas. Gets to a 1-1 count. The 1-1 pitch. Curveball. Ooh, 1-2. Now that was a gross one right there. Looked like it was going to possibly get a chance at clipping the left elbow, but instead breaks right down in the inside part of the plate. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Grounded to third. Nice play by Hydrago. Throw to first is in time for the out. 2 away here in the inning. And again, the approach style of these two pitchers is completely different. One forcing weak contact, the other just overpowering with the fastball. And Lacona able to force another out. 1 away.
Next up is bat third. Batter in the lineup, pitcher number 9, Jackson York.
Which brings up Jackson York to the plate, who we've come to find out York excels at 2 sports. He is a football quarterback, along with being highly ranked by Perfect Game USA. Here's a fly ball in the left field. Should be playable. Crashing in underneath this one is the left fielder, Langham, who's able to make that catch. 2 away here in the inning. So he's flown out to center and left field in this one. That was very quick, up to the point. And also looking at it, York is uncommitted. He is 6 feet tall, and he is topped at 88 miles an hour from the bump while also being a shortstop. Uncommitted as of right now, but also is a graduate of 2027. So a junior with that kind of fastball is scary to see. It's something that's going to attract a lot of college coaches and possibly scouts later on. So here's Evan Rear to the plate. He flew out to the third baseman his last at bat. Pops this one up into the outfield. Coulter coming over, and another diving catch to his right this time. Kingston Coulter getting it done in the outfield and making the plays look easy. 3 up, 3 down yet again. No runs, no hits, no men on base. We'll get to the bottom of the 4th inning. The Titans will get a chance to try and break open the hitting side. You're watching Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Bottom of the 4th inning in this one. Kingston Coulter up to the plate. He made that diving catch to end the inning in the last one. Kind of like he did in the first inning to start the game. First pitch popped up right field. Will this end the strikeout streak? And it's a foul ball, 0-1. Last at bat, Coulter so far is the only Titan not to strike out in the lineup. As he popped out to the shortstop, but of course, it's not like it's for no reason. I mean, we've seen the overpowering fastball of the quarterback slash pitcher, Jackson York. Kingston will step back into the box after that high foul ball. There's the 0-1. Ball 1-1. That one is low on a changeup that time. Coulter able to force contact in a lot of the bats. Here's the 1-1. Fouled back 1-2 right behind the screen, and we'll do it again. Well, last year in this matchup, like we mentioned, Lago Vista was able to sweep Manor New Tech, and it was kind of in the same order. The first one was a victory 11-0, another shutout victory and a blowout. Second game was close, so kind of a repeat of last year, but hoping Manor New Tech will change the fortune a little bit. With the first place in the district on the line. Here's the 1-2. Oh, look out. York losing his footing on that one. And he'll be charged with an illegal pitch. 2-2 the count. That one looked like it might have hurt. I mean, when you're out there on the mound, you never want to get tangled up like that. And as a pitcher, that can be dangerous. Fastball, the outside corner, called strike 3, and he lets that not affect him. 9 straight strikeouts in the game for Jackson York after that little stumble, 1 away. They clearly didn't let that affect him on that as he just regained his footing. Just blew in a fastball in the outside corner, was able to get the call on that one. There's 1 away here in the inning. Selingnack back to the plate. Takes ball 1-0. Now this switch hitter this year has been well at establishing his craft as a switch hitter and a catcher. Outside, ooh, call it a strike 1-1, and not sure about that one. That one actually looked like it caught some right-handed batter's box. 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Foul back 1-2, kind of expanding on the strike zone that time. It's the home plate umpire. So far, 48 pitches in this game for York. At this point, only 3 more than Eddie Lacona. Junior sets. Here's the windup. 1-2. Fastball the outside corner. Called strike 3. Another strikeout looking. 10 strikeouts in a row. And there's 2 away here in the inning. So 10 straight strikeouts for Jackson York as he's been dealing in this one. And so far the Titans have not had an answer to that. Which brings up Zane Thomas at the plate, the shortstop. 0 for 1 at the plate after striking out in his last at-bat. So he takes a ball 1-0. I want to mention one of the games that we saw Zane put on against Travis earlier. Had a 2 RBI double, 2 stolen bases, and a walk-off grand slam against Travis earlier in the year. And this one's popped up foul, 1-1. So this is a guy with an insane amount of pop in his bat, like we said before. Able to run those things down and plays with electricity. Here's the 1-1. Fastball right down the middle, swung on a miss for a strike, 1-2. And like we said, as somebody like York kind of reminds you of a young high school Patrick Mahomes. Here's a 1-2. Fastball popped up foul, 1-2. And by that, Mahomes was a pitcher in Tyler, Texas for his high school while also being the star quarterback. Actually had a conversation with Alex Rodriguez, who is a family friend of his dad, Pat Mahomes, about why he should be a baseball player. Here's the 1-2. Base hit up to right field. That one's going to get down, and the first Titan hit of the ball game comes from the shortstop, Zane Thomas, and the strikeout streak comes to an end at 10. And that time he knew that the fastball was coming, so he just decided to push it the other way, waiting back on it, poking it into right field and getting a nice little single out of that, getting the first Titan base runner of the ball game. So here's Ahmad Riley back to the plate. Whoa, look out. Fastball inside for a ball, 1-0. I mean, that was a solid piece of hitting there by Zane Thomas. As it's a bit of fastball-dominated game. This one's popped up in the left field. Should be playable. Left fielder walks it in the right. That's going to be a base hit for Ahmad Riley. Thomas rounding third, heading to the plate. Here's the relay throw. Not in time! Ahmad Riley with an RBI double opens this game up 1-0. And that one was hit high in the air. And I think that the left fielder, Bronson Long, just lost it up in those lights as he came crashing in and was unable to get away with it. So back-to-back base hits, and suddenly this game has changed the direction. There's a line drive into center field now. Over his head, and a base hit off the wall. Runner will get into second with a double, and Gabe Posada. Back-to-back pitches leading to back-to-back doubles. A 2-0 ball game for the Titans. And I'll tell you what, Posada was not waiting around. He now knows the fastball was coming and saw the approach of both Riley and Thomas and just pulled that one out to left center field over the center fielder's head. As Wesley was not able to get to that one, he tried to make the over-the-shoulder grab, but failed attempt to that. So suddenly you go from 10 straight strikeouts to 3 straight hits and 2 straight runs, and the tables have turned. So here's Villegas at the plate. First pitch foul back 0-1. And that is such a confidence booster when you get that first base hit off a guy that's been dealing. And it shows right there, because then your guys start to really get up and going. Able to make something happen. Here's the 0-1. Off speed that time. He goes to the changeup for a strike, 0-2. Posada really just put a rip into that fastball. He timed it up well, just took it back where it came from, and was able to get that one to roll to the wall. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3, inning over. So 11 strikeouts in the game for Jackson York, but not before giving up 2 runs, courtesy of a Zane Thomas base hit, then Ahmad Riley and Gabe Posada going back-to-back on doubles, changing the trajectory of this game. So we head to the top of the 5th inning. The score 2-0, your Titans lead. This is Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Senior night here in Manor. Titans Baseball, the Vype Sports Media Network, heads into the top of the 5th inning. First pitch foul back 0-1. Leadoff hitter for this inning, number 7, Jet Tyler, to the plate. He grounded out to Thomas his last at bat. And Thomas was the reason why this 2-out rally in the bottom of the 4th got going, followed by an Ahmad Riley double and a Gabriel Posada double. Here's a ground ball down the third base line. That's going to get through for a base hit past the diving Hidrago. And for the second straight inning, the leadoff man is on, and this one gets away, but backing up that one is Villegas. So Jet Tyler, Fighter Jet Tyler as they call him in Lago Vista, gets on with the base hit. I mean, that time he just has been able to time up the Lacona pitches and just poke that one down the third base line for a little bitty single. I said little bitty like that thing wasn't ripped. Tyler taking a more conservative lead at first. Here's Colby Canals at the plate. Squares the bunt, goes for the draw back, and that's going to fall down for a base hit, so a fake bunt single in the left field for Wesson, and he's 2 for 2 in this one. Excuse me, it's Canals who got that one. 1 for 2. And he just stuck that bat out to lay down the bunt, just cocked back and hit that one.
Next up, the bat center fielder, number 14, Cody Wesson.
So here's Cody Wesson to the plate. He singled in his last at bat, was the first base hit of the game for the Vikings. Big lead at second. First pitch. Curveball. Just missing the zone high for a ball, 1-0. Like we said, this game is kind of a repeat of last year's second game of the series. Here's a 1-0. Goes back to the curveball, misses high again for a ball, 2-0. And again, you have your two different things to look out for, two different kryptonites on both teams. One's full of players, or a pitcher I should say, with good off-speed stuff and location. The other just has an overpowering fastball. That time, Lacona brings in the fastball for a strike, 2-1. And I mean, it's impressive when you can get a freshman starting pitcher out there on a night like this with what's on the line. It's a ball, 3-1. And first 4 innings, he can go out there and show why he's out there as a starting pitcher in this game and not seem to have any sweat about it. 3-1 count, runner on first and second. Conservative leads at first and second. The 3-1 pitch by Lacona. Changeup, outside miss for a ball, and he'll draw a walk. So for the first time in a few games, we see a walk drawn against Lacona. Bases loaded. So little meeting on the mound as Reese Concat comes back to the plate. Back-to-back base hits and a walk leads to the bases loaded with nobody out. And the Gatorade to my left, thanks to my lovely wife. That lid was actually open. I almost spilt that. So a little team meeting there to kind of let Lacona control the tempo here. Reese Concat back to the plate. So middle infielder's in, corner's in the grass, first pitch. Ooh, just missing for a ball, 1-0, and I'm surprised. There it is, there's that wear it chant that you hear from dugouts. Outfielder staying where they were before. Infield drawn in, 1-0. Curveball, that time calling for a strike, 1-1. Catching that outside corner in the home plate umpire's eyes, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Going back to the curveball again for a strike, 1-2. And Lacona loves that off-speed curveball. Quite frankly, I can't blame him. He goes 12-6, 11-5, 10-4, you name it. Here's the 2-strike pitch. Lined up the middle. That's going to be a base hit. 1-run scores. Here comes the player to the plate. Nice little throw there by Coulter to avoid that second run from scoring. But an RBI single for Concat moves each runner up one base. I'll tell you what, a nice little piece of hitting there by Concat, as every pitch that was thrown in there was a curveball. That time he was able to time it up and poke it back up the middle. Fourth straight base runner in a row for the Vikings. Ground ball to third, foul, 0-1. So here's Aiden Vasquez at the plate. Popped up to center field and popped out to third in his first 2 at-bats. Excuse me, actually popped up to second. Strike, 0-1. So the infielders still in, trying to play the force anywhere for a ball, 1-1. And this is one of those situations where when you got your infielders in, you're glad that runner's on first to make a force at any base. It's just grab and go at that point. The 1-1 pitch. Curveball outside for a ball, 2-1. And Lacona knows that he had success with the curveball his last at bat, and he's trying to go back to that pitch, knowing he's able to get some chase stuff if it's located correctly. So Clapper goes back on. The 2-1 pitch. Ball 3-1, and we hear the countdown chants from Lago Vista's dugout, and sometimes those can be more challenging to have to block out than anyone can think. So Lacona will go back to the windup. Here's a 3-1 pitch. Lined up the middle. That's going to be another base hit. This time for Vasquez. Colton will throw to the plate. Here comes the throw. Not in time. A 2 RBI single for Aiden Vasquez. As Concac moves up a base. It's a 3-2 game here at the top of the 5th. Excuse me, actually it was Bronson Long who got that base hit. Bronson Long, excuse me my friends, with a base hit up the middle to take the lead for Lago Vista, and coach will come out to take out Lacona. But what a performance tonight by Eddie Lacona. He'll get props for facing off against this lineup and going to 5 innings in this one before that inning there. What a performance tonight by the freshman. So we'll take a short break and move defense around. You're watching Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network, and we'll be right back after a short break. So a change in defense here. So Lacona will be moved to short. And moving from short to the bump is Zane Thomas. Thomas went to the mound against Lago, and also went to the mound against Legacy Ranch, where he was able to get that 3 strikeout save in the first pitch. Long goes on that one. He's able to steal second. Suddenly there's 2 runners on with nobody out. Thomas is one of those guys who you cannot be a batter that's going to step out of the box for long, as Thomas is always ready. He's kind of like Nolan Ryan during the 80s and 90s. The ball 1-1. An example of that was actually the game for Legacy Ranch here, where batters started to realize that. Look out, it's a ball 2-1. But Thomas has that high velocity stuff and that arm from shortstop that he brings to the mound that batters have a tough time getting the bat on. Here's the 2-1. Chops foul, third base side, 2-2. Vasquez so far in this game, like we said earlier, when messing up his name for Bronson Long, who got revenge by getting the stolen base. He's 0 for 2 in this one. Both were pop-ups. Big lead at second by Long. Here's the 2-2. Inside corner, called strike 3, 1 away here in the inning. A nice little piece of pitching there by Thomas. He's able to get the first batter look in, 1 away.
Catcher number 1, Jude Laux.
Brings up Jude Laux to the plate. Laux, the pitcher in the last game, who went the distance in a mercy rule victory. Gets a chance at Zane Thomas. First pitch into first strike, 0-1. Laux lined out to Thomas in his first at bat, then grounded to third base in his second. Here's the 0-1. Popped up first base side, out of play, 0-2. And we see Bronson Long noticing that he's got nobody covering him on second with the middle infielders in, kind of making a running start on his lead. Almost trying to do a hit and run without actually doing a hit and run. Thomas gets his sign. Here's the 0-2. Fastball. Ground ball. Base hit up the middle. One run will score. Rounding third and heading for the plate is Long, and he will get in standing. It's an RBI single. 2 RBIs by Jude Laux. And this game gets opened up to a 5-2 ball game.
Next up at bat will be the pitcher, number 9, Jackson York.
Laux that time just putting that ball back where it came as well, just going right past the second baseman Posada into the outfield and suddenly the offense for Lago Vista is starting to show its side. Here's a ground ball to short, could be 2, nice little play, the second for 1, on the first, and a head first line will not do enough, double play, 6-4-3 double play, and that will end the inning. So not before getting five runs put on the board, as Lago Vista is able to come back from the 2 runs they surrendered in the bottom half of the inning. Head to the bottom of the 5th. Titans look to come back here. Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network brings us to the bottom of the 5th inning, and Evan Langham to the plate, who number 9, forcing a 9-pitch at-bat in his first at-bat before going down on strikes to York. This time he lines one in the fair territory in the left field. It's going to get down for a base hit. High hop off the turf. He'll get on base with his first hit of the ball game. A nice little piece of hitting by Langham, who took that first pitch inside and took exception to it and just poked that one out the left field for a leadoff single. And that's what happens when you get a 9-pitch at-bat earlier in the game. You start to time out the guy and go, okay, I know what to expect here in this at-bat. Poke that one to left field, get on with a base hit. Which brings up Chris Sneed to the plate, who also went down on strikes earlier in the game. So he takes ball 1-1-0. Anything like that is a confidence booster for your team. Here's the 1-0. Popped up foul, 1-1. Langham taking a decent lead. Here's the 1-1. Inside for a ball, 2-1 the count. Again, this is the final regular season game of the year for these two teams, and first place in the district is on the line. Here's the 2-1. It's a strike, 2-2. Now here's the catch. With a win tonight for Lago, they'll clinch first place. Easy said, done. If Manor wins tonight, trying to think here. If Manor wins tonight, tied 3-2, and Legacy Ranch loses, more than likely they'll come away with first, which will give them their first ever first place in district finish in school history. Here's a 3-2. Outside ball. Call strike 3! Call strike 3, and Sneed does not like that at all, and I can't blame him. Cannot make a call like that. That's one away here in the inning. Which brings up Lacona to the plate. But if Manor New Tech wins and Legacy Ranch wins, there's a chance that this game will go into a tiebreaker for that first place in district finish. And I'm trying to tell, did he call that a strike? He did. 0-1. I'm not sure where that was at. Regardless, 0-1 count. Here's the 0-1. Outside that time for a ball, 1-1. And one thing you'll notice about some of these guys is the electricity that you'll see in those strike 3 calls, and quite frankly, you can't blame them on some of them. Here's the 1-1. Outside for a ball, 2-1. But Laux also, you got to give credit to the catcher, who's doing a good job of framing those pitches. Able to take an outside pitch in the batter's box and make it look like a corner pitch. Here's the 2-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2, 2-2 the count to Lacona. The freshman was able to go deep into this game up until the 5th inning before surrendering those 3 runs. 2-2 pitch. High for a ball, 3-2 the count. Full count. Here's the payoff pitch. Runner goes. Pitch is high for a ball, and that will not matter what happens there, as it's already ball 4. So the runner at second thinks he's out, but will take a second to realize, nope, that's ball 4. So Lacona able to force the first walk of the night by the opposing pitcher, Jackson York, and it brings up Kingston Coulter to the plate as the tying run. So the tying run is at the plate after they're able to force a walk on the 3-2 count. Time call, and coach will come out to check with Jackson York for a second. And with that strikeout by Jackson York, that was his 12th strikeout of the game, as he's been able to deal in this one. And you got to give credit to that guy, as he's been able to make that one pitch his domination trait. And I bet you right now he's trying to give that confidence over to his coach and let him know that he's got it. Kingston Coulter, however, in this game, he was the first guy to put some bat on the ball against York in this one. And home plate umpire trying to get these guys separated right now, taking up time, and something that I'm sure head coach for Manor is going to not appreciate. And that's just not something you'd like to see. 9 times out of 10, a home plate umpire like that in a meeting is going to go and separate it after a certain amount of time, and either coach was just refusing to leave, or home plate umpire gave him a few more seconds, or I guess another half a minute, to meet with him. So Kingston Coulter steps back up to the plate after that long meeting. Langham with a good lead at second. Lacona with a more conservative lead. First pitch, ball outside, 1-0. Now you get to the top of the lineup with 2 runners on and the tying run at the plate. Coulter and Lognac to follow. You could possibly get a chance at facing Zane Thomas and Riley later on. This is the meat of the lineup for this Titans offense. So that pitch was low for a ball, 2-0. Here's a 2-0 pitch to Coulter. Swing and a miss, strike, 2-1 the count. Coulter knows the approach against York as well. On a 2-0 count, more than likely, that's going to be one of the best pitches you get, and he gets it, but just misses on that. Here's a 2-1. Inside, look out for a ball, 3-1. So 3 balls and 1 strike. Solognak on deck. Here's a 3-1 pitch. Popped up. Behind home plate, catcher coming underneath this one, and he'll make a catch on that one for the second out of the inning. Nice little play there by Jude Laux, able to track that one down for the second out of the inning. And it's moments like this where momentum matters. This moment is going to show where the momentum goes. You got runners on first and second. You got the tying run at the plate. A base hit could start something, and a strikeout or out for York will motivate his offense. And that one's inside, but call a strike, 0-1. So far, Solognak struck out twice in this one. Here's the 0-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2, 0-2. The Lago Vista crowd getting to their feet. York will step off the mound and step back. Solognak not breaking. He stays in the plate. Here's the 0-2. Inside, called strike 3. On the inside corner, and York is fired up on that one. 13th strikeout of the game as he's able to get Solognak looking, and then see will go down with the hat trick. So, no runs, 2 hits, and a walk. Excuse me, actually it was 2 walks, I should say. Which will send us into the top of the 6th inning here. 5-2 the score. Titans down in this one. You're watching Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Titans baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network as we head into the top of the 6th inning. 5-2 ball game as the Titans were able to get 2 runners on base but unable to squabble anything into the plate after a tough strike 3 call. Here's Evan Ryder to the plate. He's flown out to third base and center field in this one on a nice little play by Kingston Coulter. One of 2 plays he's made out there. Inside part of the plate, Coulter strike as well, 0-2 the count. And what we'll do is at the bottom half of this inning, we will do our segment of Today in Texas History presented by OnThisDay.com. For a lot of school faculty and teachers, as he swings and misses for a strike 3, 1 gone, second strikeout of the game for Thomas. For most school faculty and teachers, especially history teachers in the state of Texas or anywhere, there's usually a high school football coach or athletic coach in general, and we like to implement the 2 things that the people of the great state of Texas love the most, and that's sports and its rich history in the Republic of Texas, and we will do both of those with our segment of Today in Texas History presented by OnThisDay.com. Usually comes with a quote, which either can be very long or very short and be from either politicians or random celebrities. So here's Jet Tyler to the plate as he takes ball 1, 2-0. He was the reason for the 5-run rally back in last inning. He got that leadoff base hit. Takes a ball 2-0. The 2-0 pitch by Thomas. Fastball outside for a ball 3-0. Gets to a 3-0 count. He will draw a bunt, pull back, and that's going to be ball 4 as he draws the walk. And I think one of the funnier things is mentioning Texas history. I was actually talking with my dad the other day about my old Texas history class in college. This man looked at me really strangely when I mentioned the name Juan Seguin. Raises his eyebrow and goes, "Who the heck is Juan Seguin?" So in order to explain it to him, I put it into a ChatGPT font saying explain it like a 6-year-old. And was able to figure that out, but of course I can't say anything because I didn't know who he was either until I heard his name in that same college class. Pickoff move over, nothing going there. Another pickoff move, and Thomas is trying to keep that runner on. They call Jet Tyler, Fighter Jet Tyler. That first pitch, or strike up to 0-1. But when he's on the mound, actually when he's at the plate, he's Fighter Jet Tyler. But when he's at the plate, he's Bomber Jet Tyler, is what I was told. So I missed those 2 names up, so my apologies to the folks at Lago Vista. Another pickoff move does not avail, 0-1. The 0-1 pitch. Fastball high for a ball 1-1, and a slight Soto shuffle that time by Canals, and the last guy you want to do that against is a guy like Zane Thomas, who has a fastball the way he does and uses all parts of the plate. Here's a 1-1. Goes to the off-speed slider that time for a ball 2-1. Tyler with a good lead at first. Another slider, this time for a strike 2-2. There's that off-speed stuff from Zane Thomas that we see every now and then. That can be executed. Pickoff move, the 4th pickoff move in this at-bat. And nothing going. So as many pickoff moves as there's been pitches in this at-bat, and he's making sure that nobody feels comfortable in that field. 2-2 pitch. Inside, called strike 3 on the off-speed. 2 away here in the inning. 3rd strikeout of the game for Zane Thomas, and that time it was on an off-speed pitch. Getting Canals looking for his 2nd strikeout of the game. Which brings up Cody Westnott to the plate. He's walked and got a base hit in this one. And Thomas, when he gets that off-speed going, shows just how dirty that pitch can really be. And he's not giving that first baseman much time to get off the bag. First pitch to strike on 1. That's what I mean by Zane Thomas. He is a quick and ready-to-go kind of guy who you have to be ready to work on the pace with. You almost got to kind of dance with him on the tempo if you're going to keep up. And every now and then he can do something like this where he's just He's really controlling the tempo here. 0-1. Outside for a ball, 1-1. Zane makes sure that the game is controlled under his speed. You are not going to be caught off guard. And if you are caught off guard, he's going to make you know it and pay. So he goes in for the slider again for a strike, 1-2. Here's the 1-2. Slider, strike 3 called! 3 strikeouts in that 6th inning. No runs. No runs allowed in that one. 1 walk and 1 man left on base. We'll head to the bottom half of the inning. The score still 5-2. Your Titans come back to bat in the later parts of this game. You're watching Titans baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Last game of the regular season and senior night. Titans baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network, and like I said earlier, we're going to do our segment today in Texas history presented by OnThisDay.com, the website where I'm getting my sources. So April 24th, 2026, we're going to go back to 1678 when Pedro de Aguilar was born. He was a captain in the Spanish Army and escorted an expedition into Texas that named San Antonio de Padilla River. In 1998, the reunion movie, Dallas War of Ewings, aired on CBS, and today's Texas quote is one I think I've read at least 3 times before by Tommy Toon. I think Texans have more fun than the rest of the world. So here's Zane Thomas at the plate after getting those 3 strikeouts in the last inning. And time called. Thomas only walked 1 batter in that last half of the inning, but was still able to force those 3 strikeouts. That first pitch is off speed for a foul ball, 0-1. Again, those segments of Today in Texas History are always sometimes different. You will get long quotes from politicians, short quotes from celebrities, or even, like we had one time, 3-word quotes from the legendary pitcher Nolan Ryan. Time for a ball, 1-1. Thomas steps into the box. Here's a line drive into center field. This one's going back to the track. And it's over the center fielder's head and off the base of the wall. Thomas will round second and head for third as this ball has still not been picked up yet. And will cruise into third base with a leadoff triple to start the bottom half of the third. And he jumped on that off-speed pitch, hitting that deep in the center field over Wesson's head. 1 hop off the wall, and earlier in the season, like we had mentioned, Zane Thomas actually had more triples than he had doubles going into the series against Travis. And we see a reason why. And time called as Thomas, I think, rolled on that bag kind of awkwardly. So we're going to attend to him for just a second. We'll take a short break again on the Vype Sports Media Network and be right back after that. Thomas is okay, as a matter of fact. And like we were saying just a second ago, with that triple, he now has 9 doubles and 9 triples on the year. So as many triples as he has doubles, and he's able to illustrate speed and consistency all in this year. So here's Ahmad Riley at the plate. He struck out and hit an RBI double so far in this game. First pitch is a strike 0-1. And now with Thomas 90 feet away from scoring in this inning, it's an opportunity here for the Titans to get something started here in the late goings. Here's the 0-1. Inside, gets away. Here comes Thomas to the plate, and he's going to head first dive. Safe at the plate. 5-3 game as Thomas comes home to score. And that was another inside fastball by York, who has been using that inside fastball, trying to get batters off the plate. And that time he brought it a little too far inside. Pass catcher Laux hitting the backstop, and Thomas wasted no time going right away on that one. The timing was just perfect on that. He saw the pitch away and just did not hesitate to go. Popped up out of play behind the screen, 1-2 off our building. Riley, of course, the DH tonight, the usual first baseman. Goes down looking for strike 3 on that one. 1 away here in the inning. And for York, still dealing, throwing lots of strikeouts in this one. That is strikeout number 14 in 5 1/3 innings of work. As Posada to the plate takes strike 1, 0-1. Posada had the second of the back-to-back RBI doubles by him and Riley that were both RBIs, and right before that pass ball were the only 2 runs of the game for the Titans. He swings and misses at strike 2, 0-2. The Titans need to get something going here. They need to pack on some base runners, and they need to go ahead and start something here if they want to bring momentum into the 7th inning. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Fastball outside part of the plate for a ball, 1-2. Going from the windup is York. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Popped up, out of play, 1-2. On the third base side that time. Now, I'll tell you what. As much action as we've seen in this game, it is making the first time that I use a pen and paper look messy out here. My hand running is already not good enough. And this is what we're looking at right now. Of course, y'all can't see it, but my wife did. Here's the 1-2. Grounded to second base. It should be playable for the second baseman. Throw to first is not in time for the out. 2 away here in the inning. And Reese Konkak was able to make that play, but was not anticipating the speed Posada to beat it as quickly as he could. And Posada almost beat that ground out to second base just then. Missed it by maybe half a step, and there's 2 away here in the inning, bringing in Luis Villegas to the plate. Villegas in this game struck out twice so far. First pitch to him. And first pitch swinging, popped up in the infield. Right fielder coming in, calling him off. Right fielder Jet Tyler makes the catch, and that will end that half of the inning. So no runs, no hits, nothing going in that one. We head into the last inning, a 5-3 ball game. 2 runs separate the district first place finish from one of these 2 teams. You are watching Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Final regular season game on senior night.
baseman. Miles, contact.
So Reese Concac back to the plate as he takes first pitch for a ball 1-0. Vikings baseball on the Titans versus Vikings baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Close game here. This game is tighter than a double-knotted pair of shoes. Strike one, 1-1. We'll have to get updates about the Legacy Ranch game very soon, because a win for Legacy Ranch, if Manor wins, makes things tough. If Lago wins this one, they will come away with the district first place finish. It's the 2-1. Swing and a miss for strike 2-2. And Thomas in relief has been dealing in this one. So far, 4 strikeouts in this game on the bump. Thomas gets the side from Solognak. Here's the 2-2. Off speed for a ball 3-2. Gets a sign. Here's the payoff pitch on the way. Slider, ball 4. Ball 4 as Concac was able to get on base. He'll 1 for 2 in this game with a strike on the base hit, followed by that walk. So here's Bronson Long to the plate. Got a 2 RBI base hit that gave the lead for the Vikings back in the 5th inning, but also had that sac bunt back in the 3rd. Runner on first, and a big lead over there at first by Concac. Bunt up. Thomas coming over to his right, making the catch on the first, not in time for the double play. So another bunt attempt. This time does not go the way he wanted. That's 1 away here in the inning. And Thomas, who's already a regular shortstop, is not somebody who likes the idea of being a pitcher that stays on the mound for those plays and let his fielders get to that. No, he full blown was ready to field that one, and always has been. And you got to respect the guy got to respect the pitcher who makes his glove very useful on the field. Here's the 1-0, outside for a ball 2-0. So Lognac is looking at that big lead over at first by Concac. Looking to time that up well. Thomas stepping onto the rubber. Count 2-0. Here's the 2-0 pitch on the way. Line to second. Over the head of second baseman Posada, and the base hit into the gap. Coulter sliding to stop that one. Rounding third and heading for the plate is Concac. Here's the throw. Cut off by the first baseman Villegas. Chasing him back to third. And he drops the ball. Ball is dropped. And no, they're going to say it was interference by the third baseman, so they will award him home plate. It is a double as the runner advances on that. So Vasquez able to get that double and an RBI. Suddenly this is a 7-3 ball game, and that was a good play there by the first baseman Villegas, cutting that one off, and he ran him back to third. But I think on a run back like that, more than likely you're going to run that runner back to second, not necessarily back to the next base, and that's what happened. I think misplacement by Drago led to that interference call. So this game's opened up to a 5-run ball game. Time called. And they're saying that Laux called time before that pitch, so it will not count. Laux in this game flew out, grounded out, and got a 2 RBI base hit of his own. 1 for 3 in this game. Line drive in the right field, coming over to Snead. Snead will not get to this one. It is down for a base hit, and it gets past him and rolls all the way to the wall. Laux rounding second, heading for third. This one's bobbled by the shortstop. Laux will not advance on that one as he's able to pick that one up just in time. The cutoff man picked it up. So a base hit and a triple tonight for the catcher, Jude Laux. So he gets the third on that one, and a courtesy runner will come on for him. And suddenly this game has turned into Lago Vista picking up the bat and going so far. So the courtesy runner coming out is Preston Vaughn, Preston Vaughn this year, as a base stealer, has had 100% of his stolen base attempts successful. He has not been a guy to be caught all year long, and that is a big accomplishment no matter what level of baseball you're playing, especially at the varsity high school level. It reminds you of random stats where players are able to be 100% perfect all the time, like Joe Mauer, who only struck out once during his high school career in Minnesota. Pitching mound visit for Zane Thomas. Home plate umpire comes out there to chat, and I think that time he was able to separate the conversation a little bit quickly than he did for the pitching mound visit for Jackson York earlier, who York comes to the plate now. York in this game is flying out to center, flied out to left, and grounded into that 6-4-3 double play, courtesy of the shortstop Thomas, who flipped over to Posada, then throwing over to Villegas. First pitch of ball, 1-0. Correction, the shortstop on that play earlier was actually Lacona, when I remember correctly. Here's the 1-0. Slider in there for a strike, 1-1. Thomas goes from the windup. Here's the 1-1. Goes back to that slide piece again for a strike, 1-2. And that time he's using the off-speed pitch as his main way to get these batters chasing. A nice clear weather night tonight at 80 degrees at 9 o'clock p.m. Here's the 1-2. Slider popped up first base side, foul, 1-2. As the dog days of summer approach in the state of Texas, so does the tough days of playoff mode. Here's the 1-2 pitch. It's a ball, 2-2. As soon as today's game ends, it begins the road to the UIL State Championships. Of course, the UIL State Championships taking place at the Dell Diamond in Round Rock. The 2-2 pitch. Outside corner, called strike 3. So the opposing pitcher goes down looking. That is the first strikeout of the game for Zane Thomas, and it's 2 away here in the inning.
Next up at bat, first baseman, number 5, Evan Wright.
So though a solid pitching performance tonight for York, they're able to force him to 0 for 4 in his final regular season game of the year. First pitch, first strike, 0-1. So here's Evan Rear to the plate. He flew out to third, flew out to center, and struck out in his 3 at-bats. He's 0 for 3 in this game. Here's the 0-1 to Rear. Slider again. This one gets away from Solognak, but he's able to pick that one up. 0-2. Thomas now changing it up a little bit, going from a fastball-dominated pitcher using that slider more often in these at-bats. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to that fastball to try and get him off guard. The wind-up, the 0-2. Fastball, strike 3, swung on and missed, inning over. 6 strikeouts in the game for Zane Thomas, but not before giving up 2 runs to the Vikings. So we'll head to the bottom half of the inning. Titans need 4 runs to tie this one. The Vikings 3 outs away from sweeping the series like they did last year and ending the season with 4th place in the district for the 2nd year in a row. You're watching Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. We'll be right back after this break. Here we go. Bottom of the 7th inning. You're watching Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Jackson York, looking to become the second pitcher in this series to go the distance, would be 12 consecutive innings by starting pitchers in this series. Manor New Tech looking to put some spark. First pitch popped up right side. Catcher coming underneath this one, gets out of play, foul, 1-1. Well, if you want anybody to start off the inning, you got Evan Langham to the plate, who has done both forced pitches and gotten a base hit to get something started. Last time we got that base hit, though, it ended with a strikeout with runners on first and second to end the inning. Here's the pitch. Fouled back behind the screen, 1-2. So far, game time, 1 hour and 50 minutes here at Manor New Tech High School. The 1-2 pitch. Called strike 3. Called strike 3, and Langham goes down on strikes for the second time today. One gone here in the inning.
Next up to bat, right fielder Chris Sneed.
Brings up right fielder Chris Sneed to the plate. With that strikeout, that was number 15 on the game for Jackson York, so he struck out 15 of the 19 outs he has gotten in this game. First pitch to Chris Sneed. Sneed takes inside for a ball, 1-0. Sneed from the left-handed batter's box, 1-0 pitch. Swing and a miss for a strike, 1-1 the count. And still unable to get any Legacy Ranch Wrangler scores, so we'll probably get those later on. The windup, the 1-1. Popped up behind the plate, 1-2 to count. And what I want to take a second to do is mention how solid of a regular season this has been for this Manor New Tech team. They have played excellent ball, especially in these last 3 weeks, and played some tough competition, is able to get wins. Here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Strikeout number 16 of the game for Jackson York. 2 away here in the inning. He is 1 out away now from going the distance in this one, as he has now forced a hat trick to both Nate Solognak and Chris Sneed. Bringing in the starting pitcher and now shortstop Eddie Lacona. 2 outs. First pitch high for a ball, 1-0. This one's over his head, and then we'll try again. Playoffs will begin next week, and we'll probably have rosters and a schedule later this weekend. The 1-0 pitch. Pitch is high for a ball, 2-0. Lacona stepping back into the box. The 2-0 pitch. Pitch is high, and look out, ball, 3-0. Gets into a hitter's count. Here's the 3-0 pitch. Lacona takes ball 4, and he'll be credited with his second walk of the game, and he has now been responsible for the only 2 walks of the game for the Vikings, and that is going to do it more than likely for Jackson York. 6 2/3 innings pitched. An excellent job out there by the junior getting it done. 16 strikeouts, over 20 outs for Jackson York. Unable to finish this game, but he is given the props that he deserves for that one. Listen to the crowd. As a cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit plays over the speaker, we will take a short break as we get a pitching change for the Vikings. You're watching Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Titans baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. New pitcher for the Vikings, number 2, Reese Concact to the mound. First pitch line in the left field. This one's going to get down for a base hit by Coulter, who got his first hit of the game. This one's going to get all the way to the wall. Ricardo rounding third, heading for the plate. Still has not been picked up yet. And Coulter will get in standing with a leadoff RBI triple. So a nice solid piece of hitting there. By Coulter, who just ripped that one on the left field. He started this game. He said, I'm going to make sure this thing's finished. Which brings in Nate Salonmack to the plate. Time called. So far 0 for 3 tonight, 3 strikeouts. First pitch. Pitch outside for a ball, 1-0. A 3-run game with 2 outs. Salonmack, Thomas, Riley, and Posada left to follow. The 1-0. Chop to second. This could end it. York throws to first in time for the out. Lago Vista clinches first place in the district yet again here in Manor. Lago able to do it again. Sweeping Manor for the second year in a row. And doing it the same way as last year. In the same order. What an excellent year, though, for these two teams. And I'll tell you what, Manor New Tech did not go down without a fight in this one. And it really showed in that last inning as Kingston Culture was able to get that leadoff triple. But Jackson York with some solid pitching tonight. And we will go over all those numbers in the post-game show right after this short break. You're watching Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network as senior night comes to a close for these guys. And what an excellent night for these young men. So we'll take a break on the Vype Sports Media Network and come back right after. Final today from Manor, Texas, 7-4 the score as New Tech falls in this series, the final game of the regular season on senior night. And they'll put them down to third place in the district as Lago Vista able to get right back to where they were last year, winning the district yet again. And I'll tell you what a heck of a night for these two teams, and got to give credit where credit is due. Jackson York, 6 2/3 innings, striking out 16 while walking only 2. He gave up those 3 runs, but doesn't really matter when you're able to throw out a pitching motion like that. 16 of the 20 outs were strikeouts, and those other outs, 2 of them that were putouts were from Kingston Coulter. Another one with a ground out by Gabe Posada, and other than that, I'm trying to find where the other one was. Well, regardless, it ended up as a good victory by these two. Oh yeah, Nate Salognac. I was trying to find it in my poorly written notes I have here, but what an excellent game. As Lago Vista, man, they put it on tonight. Aiden Vasquez had that 2 RBI base hit earlier that really struck it and got it going. Jude Laux getting a last strike blow, a 2 RBI hit of his own. That double earlier by Brandon Long. And Reese Concac was able to get the save with a ground out, a 1-out save by Concac, giving Lago Vista another district title. And my old buddy who actually played for Lago Vista and graduated last year, Zane Carson, I know is watching this one more than likely. He's now a power lifter for the University of Texas San Antonio, being a part of that district team last year in an excellent game by those teams. Now, for Kingston Coulter's Titans, well, I say Kingston Coulter and all the other guys. Coulter, Slongnack, Thomas, Riley, Posada, Viegas, Langham, Sneed, Lakota, and Adrago. This game really showed what this team is capable of, even against tough opponents, that is going to keep them going throughout the entirety of the year. Zane Thomas, man, he put a show going on in relief. 6 strikeouts in that game, going through 3 innings in that one, giving up a couple of runs, but really showing the speed and velocity that is going to be something they'll need to look out for during playoffs. Lakota, the freshman, went 4 1/3 innings before being taken out, giving up 3 runs. But the freshman on senior night really put on a show and display that will be shown during playoffs. Zane Thomas with that triple earlier was now tied him for the regular season, 9 triples and 9 doubles. Thomas has once again shown what he is capable of. Ahmad Riley at the designated hitter spot today got a 2 RBI double, and I'm sure as soon as he starts completely healing from what happened on Tuesday, he'll be back at first base, he'll be ready to go. But Viegas, on the other hand, Luis Viegas, also making some defensive plays, especially at first base on tough throws. That'll be another guy they'll have to look out for that'll be ready to play that corner of the infield. Damadraga with a couple of solid plays at third base today, and a few diving efforts that he was unable to come up with, unfortunately. Gabe Posada with a 2 RBI double earlier, along with Ahmad Riley's double. Kingston Coulter in center field made a diving catch in the first inning and another one in the fourth, and then had that triple right before this game ended with the leadoff triple, I should say. So, it's a tough loss, and it's always tough whenever you're playing for that district title, but you also know that playoffs is coming around. You got your tough opponents coming, but now this is a chance for you to establish dominance and be able to show that, yeah, you may have not won the district, but that doesn't mean we can't do anything within playoffs. So we'll be covering that here on the Vype Sports Media Network on the NFHS Network's Road to the UIL State Championships, with a chance to go to Round Rock at the Dell Diamond for the state championship. So that's going to do it here from Manor New Tech High School. Will Burcher, our broadcasting director, Sina Venkat, our product manager, and Lester Salvo, our quality analyst. For Marlon Thomas, the guy to my right, and the public address announcer, who has allowed me to come up to this press box, for my wife, Arcelia Saldana Brown, and for the rest of y'all watching both at home, around the world, and the nation, my name is Dalton Brown. Say good night from Manor, Texas. Good luck to all the teams in playoffs. God bless you all, and have a great night. Thank you for tuning in to the Vype Sports Media Network. We will tune in for more Manor New Tech Titans baseball. Good night, everybody.